yeah?
Today's video kicks off with a question. Are you into drums and those mind-blowing double bass sounds that get your heart racing without even asking for permission? Then answer me this. Do you know Louie Bellson? If not, you better brace yourself because this guy simply changed the history of modern drumming. Louie Bellson was a jazz prodigy who, way back when nobody imagined a drummer playing with two bass drums, decided to experiment. And he didn't just experiment, he perfected the idea, molded a style, and opened the doors for everything that would come later in rock, metal, and any genre that uses speed and power to create impact.
Louie Bellson.
Louie didn't want to be more noisier, he wanted to be more musical. And he ended up creating an approach that influenced entire generations. So, before we dive into today's heavy lineup, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's meet some other great drummers who are true masters of the double bass. Keith Moon was the kind of character who seemed to live on a different frequency, a faster, unpredictable one, totally surrendered to creative chaos. He might not be the first name that pops up when we talk about double bass, but Moon was one of the first rock drummers to toy with the idea of expanding the kit and chasing more impact in the low end. His wild way of playing, full of rhythmic explosions, created an emotional foundation that paved the way for drummers who would later explore the double bass in a more structured way. To feel this intensity, just listen to Shakin' All Over, where his energy feels like it's about to spiral out of control, or Bargain, where his attacks carry the weight of thunder. Moon turned drumming into a spectacle, and that influenced everything that followed. Keith Moon's relationship with the double bass went beyond technique. It was all about attitude. He wasn't worried about being perfect or mathematical. He wanted to be gigantic, theatrical, unpredictable. That spirit opened up space for a new way of looking at the drums, not just as a rhythmic bass, but as a protagonist. His controlled madness inspired drummers to explore more weight, more speed, and more freedom, influencing everything from hard rock to the metal scene that would emerge years later. Even without using the double bass in a traditional way, Moon paved the emotional, aesthetic, and performative ground for the technique to evolve. He proved that the drums could be a constant earthquake, and that vision served as fuel for generations of musicians who would become much more technical, but who would never lose that spark of boldness Moon planted. Neil Peart from Rush wasn't just a drummer, he was practically a musical architect. His relationship with the double bass or double pedal was always one of extreme control, precision, and purpose. Peart saw every stroke as part of a narrative within the song, and the double bass was a tool to ramp up the intensity without losing clarity. He managed to create moments of pure force but always with elegance and internal logic. To feel this rhythmic engineering at work, just listen to Tom Sawyer, where the drums guide the listener through mood changes with absurd precision, or La Villa Strangiato, which feels like a musical laboratory where every detail was designed to evoke emotion. Peart didn't use the double bass to show off, he used it to tell stories. Neil Peart's influence on how the double bass would be used in the following decades is simply immense. He proved that the technique didn't need to be associated only with aggression, it could be intellectual, poetic, cinematic. This vision brought a new dimension to drummers seeking to bridge virtuosity with musicality. Peart showed that intensity doesn't need to run over the feeling. On the contrary, it can highlight the central emotion of a song. His combination of energy, clarity, and sensitivity inspired not just prog rock drummers, but also metal musicians looking for precision without losing soul. Every double stroke from Neil was like a piece falling into the right place, creating a sonic mural that remains a benchmark for anyone wanting to master the instrument. When we talk about double bass with almost supernatural ferocity, it's impossible not to mention Dave Lombardo. In Slayer, he turned the double bass into a sonic weapon that seemed to come from another plane. Fast, relentless, and loaded with visceral intensity. Lombardo didn't just play fast, he broadcasted urgency, chaos, pure adrenaline. It was thanks to this approach that extreme metal gained an identity that feels natural today, but at the time was totally innovative. A great example of this power is in Angel of Death, where the drums sound like a runaway locomotive, and in Raining Blood, where his grip transforms the song's atmosphere into something almost apocalyptic. Lombardo elevated the energy of the double bass to a level that marked generations. Dave Lombardo's influence goes way beyond Slayer. He redefined what it meant to play with intensity and shifted the parameters of how the double bass would be used in modern metal. His approach wasn't just about speed, but about creating emotional impact, transmitting a sense of urgency that influenced entire bands. Lombardo proved that the double bass could be the backbone of a song's mood, shaping sensations, guiding tension, and releasing catharsis. Starting with him, drummers worldwide began seeing the technique not just as virtuosity, but as an expressive language. His legacy runs so deep that even today, among extremely technical musicians, his name remains an absolute reference. Since we're talking drummers, check out the ranking of the top 20 rock drummers of all time based on our audience's picks. I bet you'll agree with this list. Click the card appearing at the top of your screen. Terry Bozzio is one of those musicians who seems to live in his own universe, where the drums have no limits and the double bass is just an entryway to completely new sonic worlds. With Frank Zappa and later in his solo work, Bozzio used the double bass as a tool for artistic expression, creating atmospheres, textures, and movements that few drummers dared to explore. He turned the instrument into something almost orchestral, building complex soundscapes without losing intensity. To feel this unique approach, it's worth listening to The Black Page, a nearly mythical rhythmic challenge, and Titties and Beer, where his energy transforms the song's humor into something even more vibrant. Bozzio showed that double bass can also be contemporary art. Terry Bozzio's influence is gigantic, especially among drummers looking to break boundaries. He taught us that the double bass doesn't have to be just about power. It can be about construction, storytelling, atmospheres, and sensations. His vision inspired drummers to expand their kits, their ideas, and their relationship with music. Bozzio brought an almost theatrical intention to his playing, turning every phrase into something that grabs the listener with novelty and boldness. Many musicians today who seek to mix technique with extreme creativity look to him as an absolute reference. His ability to unite energy, inventiveness, and depth transformed the double bass into a tool for creating entire worlds within a song. Dennis Chambers is pure power combined with a sense of groove that seems to have no limits. Instead of relying on two drums, he's best known for using a single bass drum equipped with a double pedal. He doesn't use this tool to impress, but to build movement, to give body to the sound, to make the music breathe in a deeper way. Playing with George Clinton, John Scofield, Santana, and so many others, he took the technique into funk, jazz, and fusion, creating an unmistakable signature. To dive into this energy, just listen to Pick Hits Live, where his drums seem to converse with every instrument, or Blood, Sweat, and Beers by Niacin, where he shows how power and musicality can walk side by side. Dennis Chambers' influence is huge because he showed that the double bass can exist in any musical genre without sounding exaggerated, as long as there is intention, groove, and heart. He united speed with smoothness, impact with elegance, creating an identity that influenced dozens of modern drummers. Chambers proved that you can be aggressive without losing the swing, technical without losing soul, and powerful without losing subtlety. His approach inspired musicians to see the double bass not as an individual technique, but as part of a complete musical vision. And that's why his name continues to be cited as a reference among drummers who seek to unite strength, creativity, and true musicality. So, did you enjoy this trip through the history of these monsters who turned the double bass into pure art? The truth is, this universe is massive, full of incredible personalities who shaped the sound of entire generations. And now, I want to hear from you. Who are the other great double bass masters who can't be left out of Part 2? Could be from rock, metal, jazz, fusion? Drop it in the comments because your suggestion might show up in the next video. If you like the content, go ahead and hit that like button. Share it with anyone who loves drums, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. It really helps the channel keep growing and bringing you videos like this one. Thanks a ton for sticking with me this far. Seriously. See you in the next video.